Hattie and I am back with another video which is going to be the interior of the Swedish house. Now I have to apologise because it has been a couple of weeks since I shared part 1. That doesn't usually happen and it's only when I'm really busy that will happen in the future, and that's not very often because I don't usually have a lot of things to be busy over. But recently I have been trying to track down my bag that was lost just after my honeymoon ended. And if you don't already know this story, because I'm pretty sure that not everybody in the world knows this story just yet, but I'm hoping that it will spread that far eventually. But what happened was I went on a cruise with MSC Cruises USA and they lost my bag, and the bag got lost, or at least the 2 bags got lost, not just one. It's actually my husband's as well. But both bags got lost from outside our door to downstairs, and it just absolutely puzzles me because they really didn't have far to deliver the bags. They weren't stolen because we saw a crew member take them away, and it's just incredible how that can just get lost. And I've just spent a lot of my time just trying to find out what happened to it, but they've actually stopped responding to my emails, so it's such a shame that they won't even own up to the mistake. I mean, it's just been crazy. But yeah, so yeah, lots of stuff went missing, and that's why vlogs and things have been off as well, because my camera equipment has all been in those bags. So hopefully it will get sorted pretty soon. We'll have to see what happens, and of course I will keep you all updated as to when the bags arrive if you are interested in that sort of stuff. But anyway, the house itself, I was very excited to share this house with you, and the main reason is because I styled it a lot off IKEA, and IKEA is one of my favourite furniture shops to shop at. I'm not sure if I know any others, but IKEA is of course a very renowned furniture shop. It's pretty good. I love the idea of having matching sets for things, and I do often find when I do visit IKEA, they do have these rooms that you can walk into and it already feels like home. So I thought I would style this house off that sort of style, especially as IKEA, the company, was founded in Sweden, so I thought it would be really important to do something like that. I did think about doing a more traditional interior for the inside, but I thought no, because I like the idea of having the Swedish interior like this. So I thought that would be a really good way of showing that it is a Swedish interior. I didn't find lots of traditional Swedish features that stood out to me at the moment, so maybe I will go back at some point and maybe I will do another Swedish house. Maybe it will come up in my competition which is going on at the moment, and if you don't know about the competition, it's basically where you make a sim family and I make a house for them, and there's some of the rules and stuff you can put a budget on, etc. But if you do fancy doing some sims and having a sim family home, which I can share as a speed build on my channel and also give your gallery page or your YouTube page a little shout out, then yeah, you can go and do that, and I'll put the links below. If you don't know how to find it, or if you can't find it through the links below because sometimes the links don't work, I'm pretty sure it was a video before this, so it won't be exactly difficult to find. But anyway, this was the lounge. So I did a more private lounge. I thought having a closed off room would be a good idea, because I think a lot of modern interiors do have an open layout. I think the house itself was very open, but I did like to have the lounge a little bit closed off, so that's why I did that. I spent a lot of unnecessary time just rearranging things on the walls there, and that did take up a lot of time. I think the interior for the build probably took about an hour and a half. But I think just rearranging the pictures and things probably took about 30 minutes of that time, just because I just wanted to get it right. I wanted to make it look very creative and artsy, and I like playing around with those sorts of things. I like creating new things for The Sims 4. I think it might as well be that I have been playing a lot of Planet Coaster recently, and in that game, the building side of it, you really do have to make things up from scratch. You can do anything with the objects you're given. So it has really pushed out the boundaries for when it does come to Sims 4, and it's made me want to be a little bit more adventurous when it does come to wall decorations, etc. Because I wish we could start blending objects into one another and clipping them over, but unfortunately you do get that horrible twitching. So I tried not to do that too much and use too much moving objects in this house. It's only really the portraits on the walls that I do that for. I think that's how the wall decoration did end up looking in the end, and I had the TV over the other side. So the house itself is going to be for an artsy couple, or somebody that maybe wants to be a photographer, something like that, because this would be a perfect house to take some pictures in. It really would. It just reminded me of just walking into an IKEA house, or maybe somebody that has just invested a lot of money into having a matching set of everything everywhere. because I do have a lot of IKEA furniture in my house at the moment. I also have a lot of Conforama furniture, which is another company. I think that's from Switzerland, but I have no idea of the origin of that company. But it's a little bit like a cheaper version of IKEA, and it's flat pack furniture, and it's fantastic for new couples moving in somewhere. And that's what my husband and I had when we moved into our first apartment together. And that's the furniture shop that we used a lot. And it's very similar in that way, because sometimes it's difficult when you're buying full sets of things. That's what we found. It would be really easy just to buy one chair or one rug or one counter, but when it came to having it looking like it all matched and it all looking really, really nicely together, that's when it started to get really expensive and really difficult. I was also trying to play around with the floor tiles. So at this point, I was trying to create a rug. I wanted it to look a little bit different, so that's why I did experiment and do some different things with that. I know that some people do like when I do rearrange the flooring a little bit, especially in the kitchen. I do some quite complicated floor tiling in the kitchen. I don't know about this house, I think it just stays being wood, but usually in my other builds, that's the bit that people really enjoy, and it's something that's just a little bit different. So yeah, I did try and just incorporate it with the rugs there, and I think that's because I already knew at this point that I wasn't going to do anything too crazy in the kitchen, because I actually got a really, really lovely picture of a kitchen which I didn't want to copy, but I wanted to get inspired by, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that I did take a lot of inspiration from the kitchen I saw, and it was just a plain wood tile in the kitchen, which is unusual for kitchens because usually kitchens are tiled, etc. But wood can look really good in there as well. This in here was the bar room, so I thought having a room which would be a little bit separated from the rest of the house instead of having it open would be a nice idea in here. And I already had a study area underneath the stairs, so I didn't want anything in here being a study environment because I already had one. So that's what I left it being. I think that that was a good idea, and I think that if you did want to change it into anything else, then you definitely could. You can actually have lots of options for this room. You could change it into a bedroom if you wanted to, and you could do some really cool things with it. Also adding some mirrors, because mirrors are very important. I don't know why the mirrors don't look very good far away. It looks really dark and you can't see the reflection of it. I like the idea of having a lot of mirrors in a house though, and that's something that I might create at some point. Maybe a mirrored house or a glass house, and have it just being a really interesting build. I do want to experiment with interesting builds. I don't really know how many I'll be doing, because I know that everybody is going to have mixed opinions on what you want to see. Some people want to see ordinary suburban houses, and that's absolutely fine because I'll be sharing loads of those. But other people want to see really interesting, unique builds, and that's something that I'm trying to focus on a little bit more. I have actually been experimenting with celebrity builds at the moment, and that's something that I'm really enjoying doing. So the idea is that each week I will be looking on Twitter, I will be having a weekly poll, and depending on which one gets voted for the most, then that is the creation that I will be making in The Sims 4. So I think that that is an interesting way of doing it, and it's also a way that you can really vote, because I have listened to individual comments in the past and I've said, okay, I'm just going to create this one thing because this one person wants it. But then it's always had mixed opinions, so I thought doing it that way just brings in everybody on the channel. It gives you a chance to be able to participate and have a say on what you want to see. So I'm really excited to see how that turns out, because I hope that you are all enjoying it. I've also had loads of requests to do Studio Ghibli requests. I think it's called Ghibli, but I'm not sure if it's Ghibli or Ghibli. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing it right, I'm not sure. But I watched the films a while back of Howl's Moving Castle, and I also watched some other ones like Spirited Away. Castle in the Sky was another one I watched. Loads actually, Kiki's House or something that was similar to that name, I don't know. But yeah, so loads and loads of different films, movies, books, etc. from there, and I thought that that would be a really cool thing to create, so I did. And that got loads of positive feedback, so I might actually create more of those different things and maybe do the Spirited Away bathhouse, do some other ones. If you want to see that, then let me know as well, because I'm definitely interested in creating some really unique things in The Sims 4, because that's what I enjoy doing. I actually enjoy experimenting with different things that I just didn't know that I could make before, and that's what makes me happy. So anyway, this was the bathroom. So putting the bathroom in this place is very, very strange. I know I have tended to do this recently. That's just because I always do tend to have a bit of extra space just left at the back of the kitchen, and that would usually be used for the pantry. I really do hope that in the future, when this restaurant pack does come out, that they do give us a pantry feature or something that would work like the storage cabinet. I doubt they would, but that's what I would absolutely love to see. Because if we had something like that, it would just be so much more fun to just put it on the end of a kitchen, and it would look so much more realistic, because a lot of big houses do actually have separate rooms where you keep your food. Even just smaller houses, it just tends to be a thing. It's just further storage. It's just like having a normal cupboard in a house. It's just somewhere to keep your food separate. It's actually what my house has. It's very useful. It's where I keep all the things. I'm just not sure where to keep them. So we have a particularly big pantry compared to every single other room, and that was a really amazing thing for us because I just wasn't even expecting a pantry altogether. But it's really handy because we don't actually have anywhere to store the bits and bobs, so we just put everything there. Christmas decorations always end up there, etc. Just things that we just never knew where to put there. It always ends up there, so I would love that. I mean, even just to have a food feature where the chef or whoever could go into the kitchen and have a properly closed off place. I'm also hoping for bad customers, because that's something that I'd love to see in The Sims 4, just to see Sims get angry and what would happen if they didn't get their food on time, etc. Because that does happen in restaurants. I actually used to work in a restaurant. That was one of the first jobs that I ever had. I think I was about maybe 14 or 15 when I started working there. I absolutely hated it though, and it was probably the worst job that I've ever had, or at least one of them. I only worked there for 2 shifts, and it was a brand new restaurant. It was a really nice place, and the manager was really friendly, but the problem with it was the fact that because I was brand new, they were brand new, the whole place was just new. Nobody had a flying clue what was going on, and no one told me what I had to do. I was actually put on a shift with a girl which arrived a couple of days before me. She had no idea what was going on either. And she ended up hiding in the toilets for hours and hours whilst I was there on my first day. I had no idea where she was or what she was supposed to be telling me. But I ended up finding her about 9 o'clock, and she came out the toilets and she said, "I've been in here the whole time." And yeah, she basically went home really early, and it was a disaster. So yeah, that was my first restaurant experience ever. But I had no idea how to handle the bad customers. If you have had a job similar to that though, then let me know in the comments below, because it's always fun to share your bad experiences. But anyway, this was the last bedroom, I think. So we are pretty much done on the upstairs floor. The upstairs floor didn't take me that long. I enjoy doing the downstairs more than the upstairs, because I think with IKEA, I always feel really awkward if I'm going through the bedrooms and things, if I'm not going to buy anything from there, because there's often a lot of people just lying down on the beds, just like it's their own house, and it just, I don't know, it's a little bit odd for me. So I think that when it came to looking inside the shop at the bedrooms, etc., that was always the place where I just wouldn't stay for long. But I think that when it does come to looking at pictures online, there are definitely more pictures of lounges, kitchens and dining rooms, etc. I don't think the house itself does actually have a dining room, which is very surprising for me, but I have cut down on dining rooms recently, and the reason is because the Sims don't tend to stay in there. So if you are a little bit annoyed with me not putting in a dining room, then let me know, because I can put it in for next time. But it really is so that when you are playing with the house and the Sims are inside, it just means they can all socialise together in the kitchen, and I actually really like that. But if you did want a formal dining room and you wanted a party here of really formal guests and stuff, then you could probably put it downstairs in the lounge, and you could just add a table somewhere there, because there's so much space. You could just put it there if you wanted to. This was a little storage cabinet in here. So it's a really odd room, but I couldn't decide what I wanted to do there, and I actually had to hide the roofs, to be completely honest with everybody. Sometimes that happens, sometimes the roofs leak over, and that's just a glitch which the Sims team haven't got rid of yet. I'm really surprised that they haven't done a lot of updates with the roofs, because sometimes when they come through the house, it just can be very problematic. Even to have maybe an upstairs attic would just be absolutely amazing, and I would love that so much, but we can't. But yeah, so sometimes I do get problems, especially when I do have big stairs, overhangs, so that's what I was trying to cover over there. This was, I think, the baby's room, so I did actually end up putting in a cot here. It was very difficult matching the baby's room, and I do really hope that this new stuff pack that we get for children will come with loads of new furniture, and we could really do with that. In my personal opinion, I think that we really do need some nice furniture for kids, because looking at the furniture that we have already, it just isn't enough. We just have these storage cabinets, they're not modern, they don't fit in with anything, and I would really like some nice toys that would match the rest of the house. Maybe IKEA furniture like bunk beds, etc. Just fancy things like that, playhouses, I would absolutely love. I did notice a monster under the bed, which was amazing, so maybe not amazing for the children, but I think it's absolutely amazing that they have put that much detail into the beds that I saw on the brief video, so hopefully we're getting some fun stuff there. This was when I was going around the house and putting in the last bits of the wallpaper, because at this point the whole house was this white colour and I wanted to change some of the walls, have some feature walls. That's what I decided to do there. And I was going around the kitchen and just putting in some of the wallpapers. Also tiles. Tiles are quite important for a house like that, so I did want to put some in the kitchen there, even though it's not on the floorboards, just on the walls even. Would make it look like it's a kitchen, and it was supposed to be that way. I was also just putting some pops of colour in the house because I love doing that, and that is the end of the build. So I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see your future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will speak to you all soon.